unique flagship with a dual nature. The most efficient CPU currently on the market, a triple camera, strong battery, and most of all, AMOLED screens. Nubia with its Z20 model goes for innovation, though, as we can see it in this reviewed model, it does not always translate to the comfort of the user. Are two screens really better than one? Nubia Z20 is a smartphone different than others. When it comes to the specification, it is the higher shelf, Snapdragon 855 Plus, 8GB of RAM, 128GB of internal memory, triple camera with the main 48-megapixel main sensor, and in addition a 6.4-inch OLED and a 4000 mAh battery. Just a flagship, which cannot be distinguished with anything in particular at the first glance. But only after we will try to take a selfie does it show its true nature. We need to turn the phone around and use the main camera and the additional display at the back of the phone, which will be used as the visor. You probably did not expect that. Packaging and accessories. In the black box we have the following set of accessories. A charger, a red USB/USB-C cable, a silicone, transparent cover, a 3.5mm mini jack to USB-C adapter, and some papers. Housing and display. At first one might think that Nubia Z20 does not surprise with its looks. At the front we have the display stretched almost to the edges, at the back there is a shiny, blue panel, on which we can see the module with cameras. But Nubia Z20 is a smartphone that hides many surprises in many aspects of its housing. Let us start from the front. The main display is a 6.42-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED 1080 by 2340 pixels, 401 pixels per inch. It does not have any notches or holes, it supports HDR10, it offers a high brightness and saturated colors, though in a bit colder tone. This is a perfect device for watching movies and series on the full, almost bezel-less display. There are no problems with looking at the screen in glasses with polarizing filters, both horizontally and vertically. The display is curved near the sides and it's covered by a layer of reinforced Gorilla Glass 5. In the upper part there is a cavity for the receiver, sensors and the notifications LED. At first, the LED only informs about a weak battery or if it's charging, but you just need to change a single option in the settings, so that it can blink for notifications as well. The back of the device is made out of glass, it is smooth, shiny, it has a reflective surface and it has a deep blue color. It looks elegant and smart, though it is difficult to keep it clean. It's a real magnet for fingerprints. There is a triple camera placed in a horizontal, oblong module, 2 LED flash, a cavity for the speaker in the upper edge and the brand's logo in its lower part. It seems that this is a panel just like any other. But in reality it is basically different from any other smartphone on the market. I am of course referring to the nicely hidden, additional screen, which is placed on the back panel of Nubia. Device's edges are not boring either. On the upper one there is a hole probably for the additional microphone, while on the lower one there is the hole for the main microphone, a USB-C socket and a set of holes, which hide the single, external speaker. On the left side, in the middle of the height of the phone, there is a fingerprint scanner integrated into the power lock button. Above it there is a tray for SIM cards, it stores 2 cards in the nano size. On the right there is another fingerprint scanner integrated with the power lock button as well. Above it there is an oblong button for volume control. Why did the manufacturer place 2 fingerprint scanners? So that the device can be easily unlocked and used no matter what display we are currently using. In most cases, scanners work fast and precise, though sometimes the display woke up, but the biometric security did not recognize my fingers. That was a rare occurrence though. The frame itself is metal, with a shiny finish that complements the color of the device and at places is intersected with antennas bars. It is worth adding that the lower part of the device, or rather the frame in the lower part, is sensitive to pressure. We can set our own shortcuts to apps or particular activities of the phone, which will be run after squeezing the phone in an appropriate way. Both at the front and at the back panels there are pre-installed protective foils. Besides this there is a silicone cover in the set. This all is supposed to protect the phone from any potential damage. Unfortunately, Nubia Z20 cannot boast with any dust or waterproof standard. I will add that the smartphone is available in diamond black and twilight blue colors. Additional display. Manufacturers try to hide the camera on the front panel in different ways. frames, notches, holes in the display, moving the camera to the lower frame or pop-up cameras. There were a lot of solutions, but I must admit that Nubia surprised me. There is no camera at the front, the main camera is used for selfies, and in order for the user to see whether they look good or not, there is an additional display embedded in the glass panel. Previously an identical solution was presented by the Vivo company in the NEX dual display model, but it was a one-timer and the idea was dropped. ZTE approaches this idea one more time. At first, 2 displays were used in the Nubia X model. But is it a good approach? The shiny panel, with the horizontal camera module gives no wow effect, it only attracts fingerprints. But everything changes when we will activate the second display, embedded in the backs, below the camera module. This is a second touch AMOLED with a 5.1-inch diagonal and an HD resolution, 720 by 1520 pixels, 330 pixels per inch. It can be used not only for seeing the selfie preview or making video calls, but basically for everything that we can do on the main screen. Switching between displays is rather intuitive. When we want to take a selfie, the camera app will automatically switch to the second display. In the shortcuts bar we will have an appropriate icon, which activates the selected display. Or we can leave a floating button on the desktop, which works in the same way. What is more, gesture detection works great, so turning the phone in our hands activates the particular display. The display on the back panel can work in the mirror mode, which copies what is on the main display. But it can work in the dual-screen multitasking mode as well, displaying 2 different apps on each display. The comfort of using 2 displays is increased thanks to power buttons, which have integrated fingerprint scanners. No matter which display we are using, we do not need to stretch our fingers, they are always at hand. On the back panel there is an additional cavity for the receiver, thanks to which we can make calls from the back panel of the device. Both displays can have always-on display panels showed. Their looks and time, at which they will be showed, can be modified in settings. There is much more software for using the additional panel, and it will be described in the later part of the review. The additional display in Nubia Z20, and all innovation and housing elements that accompany it, are really interesting, and if you like this idea of using this space more than other current solutions, this smartphone will be a great choice. But let us notice that it can translate into a greater battery consumption, especially if we will activate always-on display on both panels, and colors on the smaller display are warmer than on the main one. In default settings the white looks basically yellow. What is more, colors which pass through dark or blue glass will never look natural. In addition, the maximum brightness of the secondary panel is rather low, it does not work well in a full sunlight, and the display is surrounded by large bezels. And even though the whole is assembled perfectly, the practical aspect of the additional display is not that important during an everyday usage of the smartphone. System and applications. The smartphone works under Android 9 and the Nubia UI 7 interface. I don't think we can count on a quick update. The security updates are from the 5th of August 2019. The add-on itself is a slightly modified version of pure Android, in which there is a lot of personalization options, like wallpapers, icons, shapes. We can use apps menu, always on display, dark theme or settings concerning parameters of the displayed image. Those who are accustomed to navigating through the system with gestures will not find this option in here. The system itself works smooth and fast, apps run without any delays, there are no problems with multitasking. This concerns working on 2 desktops as well. The software provides numerous functions necessary for supporting the unique hardware that is the secondary display. Thanks to switch between 2 screens, users can point how they want to move between displays and which of them will turn on after waking up the phone. Another part of settings of the dual screen is secondary screen space, in which we can select the work mode of many screens, dual screen or mirror mode. ZTE, along with the additional display, provides the Super Eye Care for secondary screen, which is a multi-step blue light filter, dedicated only for this panel. There are effects, which can be found under the Screen Scene Lightning Effect tab. The user can activate this function, thanks to which while receiving a call, gaming or playing music, the additional screen can show visual effects. It has no practical meaning, this is just to show off. Sound. The looks and specifications show that we are dealing with the highest shelf model, but when it comes to the sound, Nubia Z20 cannot boast. It is a single speaker placed on the lower edge. It does not work better than other mono speakers, it works while playing multimedia or in the loud speaking mode, but you can clearly hear that with higher volume the sound becomes metallic and distorted. If you have your favorite earphones, using them along with Nubia Z20 will require an adapter. The smartphone does not have a universal jack. But, at least there is an adapter from 3.5mm mini jack to USB-C. Photos and video. Photography capabilities of Nubia Z20 look really impressive. There is a triple module, which consists of a 48-megapixel camera with optical image stabilization, a 16-megapixel camera with a 122.2 degrees wide-angle lens, and an 8-megapixel telephoto lens with triple optical zoom. Cameras are supported not only by one, but two LED flashes, placed symmetrically on sides of the photography module. The left one lights shots taken with the main camera, and the right is used for selfies, the so-called soft light. The photo quality itself deserves a commendation as well. This is not a level of flagships, but a good, middle shelf. The presence of the wide-angle and telephoto lens is an advantage, though it is obvious that particular lenses set a slightly different white balance and different colors. In good lighting the photography results are great, colors are bright and saturated, and the image's dynamics is great, just like photos taken with the optical zoom. The photography effect is natural, you can see that photos are not boosted by the software, they are focused and with saturated colors. Cameras in Nubia work slightly worse in weaker lighting, the wide angle should not be used in this case, and the telephoto lens tries to reduce noises too much, which results in photos lacking detail. The main camera takes nice photos, though there is a noticeable loss of details and high noise in photos. But taking the device's price into consideration, the smartphone deserves a praise. The manufacturer did not forget about the night mode, which will noticeably brighten shots, though this is not a result that can be achieved with smartphones, for example from Huawei. I will add that the smartphone works better in close-ups, from 2.5 cm than from a distance. The further the photographed object, the weaker the color saturation. Nubia does not use the standard Android app to control the camera. There is pre-installed software, which gives wide possibilities when it comes to photography, both for amateurs and for those more advanced. It offers numerous work modes, including the night mode, portrait and pro, but without the possibility to save to the RAW format. It can save photos in 48 megapixels, the default value is set to 12 megapixels, and videos in the maximum resolution in the 8K quality. This function is in the beta version right now. In addition, there is an automatic HDR and color effects. Though the app looks a bit messy at first sight, we can get used to it after a few days. It is important that we have everything at hand. The smartphone enables to record videos in 1080p for the camera used as the front one and in 4K with 60 frames per second for the main camera. But Nubia did not stop here, we can record in 8K with 15 frames per second. Though this is now only a curiosity, due to poor frame rate, it is completely useless. Now it is a high time for the front camera, which is absent. And even though selfies taken with the main camera, with the usage of the additional screen as the visor, are great when it comes to the quality, the fact that we need to turn the phone around to take a selfie unnecessarily complicates the whole process. I appreciate the idea, courage and innovation of the manufacturer, but I prefer a traditional solution. For 2 weeks that I have spent with Nubia, the necessity to turn the phone around irritated me every time I wanted to take a selfie. But if the selfie's quality has a bigger importance for you, then Nubia Z20 will definitely not disappoint you. After all, we use the main camera that offers a 48-megapixel sensor, optical image stabilization, autofocus and a wide-angle camera, which can be used for taking selfies as well. Communication. The smartphone from ZTE offers an almost full package of connectivity modules. It supports HSPA and LTE, 2 SIM cards and it has Bluetooth 5.0. From physical sockets we have USB-C, USB 2.0 with OTG. In addition, there is a dual-channel Wi-Fi and navigation, which did not make slightest problems neither during walks nor while driving. Unfortunately, as in many Chinese smartphones, there is no NFC. Voice calls. Nubia Z20 worked well in its traditional role, as a phone. The quality of calls was impeccable for the whole time of usage of the reviewed model. The noise while using public transportation or while walking on the street was not problematic. Memory and efficiency. The smartphone is equipped with 128 GB of memory, out of which the user is left with around 113 GB. And, unfortunately, this is the whole space for data. The smartphone does not have a memory card slot, so if you run out of memory, you will need to use cloud solutions. The specification of Nubia Z20 reflects to what was offered by top models from the end of 2019. It offers an efficiency that will be enough for everything, including multitasking and using the most demanding games. It has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 Plus CPU with an up to 2.96 GHz clock, supported by Adreno 640 GPU and 8 GB of RAM. It is confirmed by benchmark scores. It is worth adding that the smartphone does not have a tendency of overheating, even during more intensive work. Battery. Though a combination of connecting two AMOLED screens and the 4000 mAh battery does not look good on paper, in practice it turned out that Nubia Z20 can survive for a long time on a single charge. Even when used intensively, it could survive for a whole day away from a charger, on average achieving 1 to 1.5 of a workday. After 15 minutes the smartphone has around 25% batteries, after 30 minutes, around 60%. The cell will be fully charged after around an hour and 20 minutes. Due to the fact that there is another panel at the back, there was no place for an inductive coil, that is why we do not have wireless charging, and a reverse one. Summary. Nubia Z20 evoked mixed feelings in me. On one hand, for an everyday smartphone, it is a brilliant device. It works fast, efficiently, has a great display and a strong battery. It has the currently most powerful CPU, Snapdragon 855 Plus, 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of internal memory. It offers everything that can be expected from a middle-higher shelf smartphone. In addition, it has an attractive price, €499 in the Internet store of the manufacturer. This is probably the cheapest model with Snapdragon 855 Plus on the market. But Nubia Z20 shows that unusual solutions do not always work. What distinguishes this model from others, which is the additional screen, embedded into the glass housing, does not convince me. Every time that I had to turn the phone in order to take a selfie, I thought what a stupid idea it was to deprive the phone of a camera at the front. But the manufacturer deserved an applause for bravery and adding some freshness to the smartphone's design, for using the full surface of the front panel and a reasonable price of the device, even despite two AMOLEDs.